Malnutrition has a huge impact on children's health and development, and when you've got children who are actually going hungry, this is something that really is causing them to underachieve in terms of well-being, performance, and really it's going to impact on their physical health and their mental health.
It depends very much on the age as to how much it affects the brain, because the younger the child is, the more likely it's going to have an impact on the brain.
We know that it influences how the brain develops and therefore how well the brain works.
I think it's going to affect, attention, and it's going to affect memory, it's going to affect the ability of the child to interact with a social environment. The consequence that what it does is it leads to children who perhaps may have difficulty in reading, writing, arithmetic, and so on and so forth, and who become almost excluded from the progress of society. They certainly cannot contribute.
I work with children with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. I have carried out research within this group of children. It was not uncommon that they would come and visit me having not had breakfast.
Unless you get a good breakfast, one that doesn't send your blood sugar to the ceiling and then drop it again, your energy levels and brain fuel, which is blood sugar, will in fact be sustained instead by adrenaline. So you're going to be feeling stressed from the moment your day starts.
Their concentration is affected, their attention span, they become very restless, their blood sugar levels are low.
No child can achieve their potential unless they're well nourished. The price of food is having a disproportionate impact on those who are already struggling, just to provide their children and themselves with the basics of a healthy diet.
In poor houses, the proportion of the income spent on food is higher than in richer houses, and that means that the quality of the food that people are going to eat is going to get even worse.
The problem with it is that no matter how much money you give to people, that unless they know how to use it, they're sort of stuck. And so the other side of the tragic coin is that unfortunately those who are most worst affected are often those who have the poorest educational skills and have the least knowledge. It's a sort of kind of vicious circle that entrenches a kind of poverty, and a biological poverty as well as a mental poverty.
With regard to obesity, although a child may look as though they're getting enough to eat, what really matters is whether they're getting the right kind of nutrients in the food that they eat.
Obese children are highly likely to be malnourished. A lot of them are consuming empty calories, they're not exercising enough, poor food choices.
Obesity has in fact been found to be more common in children with certain kinds of behaviour problems, including ADHD. It's also associated with depression, and there's a lot of reasons for these kinds of links, but some of them are likely to reflect the nutrition quality of the food that these children are getting.
Mental ill health has now overtaken all other burdens of ill health, so it is the most serious threat to humanity that we've ever faced.
People in low-income groups are facing an awful lot of pressures. Malnutrition is likely to be one of them, and there are some very strong links between lack of adequate nutrition and poor mental health.
It's one of the few things we can do something about.
The interest of the government and many other people is to try to intervene with pouring millions into educational systems for school leavers and things of this nature. The root cause is in the development of the brain before birth. So intervening or trying to intervene at a late stage in the life of the child is miles too late.
The importance of nutrition to mental health is something that we've neglected for far too long, but it's very, very real.
We were quite shocked when we found the results of a survey we did within Kids Company on nutritional habits of children in London. We found that 85% of children rely on Kids Company for their evening meal, and that 64% reported being hungry because there just wasn't enough food in the house.
Most people really don't recognise quite how malnourished many of our children in a developed country like the UK are, nor do they appreciate just quite how fundamental this is to their health and well-being, their performance in life and their contribution to society.
This is an issue that warrants immediate attention. It's criminal, really, that these children are quite literally starving, and something needs to be done about it.
Despite all the advances in science and maths, the one most powerful predictor of cognitive ability, of behavioural disorders, of severe neurodevelopmental disorder, and of poverty has not been addressed, and I simply do not understand the reason why it's been ignored. Well, the impact of regular meals is bound to be removing a cloud that shadows over these children that really adversely affects their ability to be part of the richness of human life.
The great thing about Kids Company is that it can begin to reverse this appalling state of affairs, because you supply so many good quality meals to people who are deprived of decent nutrition. You can, to some extent, counteract the bad things that happen to those people's brains. And I think that's a very important task, and I applaud you all for what you're doing.